Where a child learns is often just as important as what a child learns. With so many students now learning at home, parents are challenged with crafting the ideal workplace that will facilitate education, discovery, play, and even achievement. Fortunately, it's simple to build an effective workplace that your child will enjoy. Carve out a purposeful space. Kids need to have a designated space for learning, a place that their minds and bodies will associate with work, creativity, and discovery. This workplace could be at the dining room table, a beanbag on the floor, at a desk, or even a cozy corner complete with pillows. It should be comfortable, reasonably spacious, relatively free of distraction, and tucked away from household foot traffic. It should also be an arm's reach away from supplies that your child will need for that day's learning.
That can really be anything. It can be any space. It can be a kitchen table, it can be an actual desk, it can be something that has supplies in it that you would take wherever it is that you're working. And I think the important thing is that it's an identified space that a child knows that they're working at, that it would be the same space each day that they're working. Very reliable. And again, organizing supplies would be great, like a container like this or a big shoebox.
So a great at-home learning space is an area in your house that's quiet and is designated as your learning space every time. So it's important that you use the same space every time just to build that routine.
That when we're working, that we're not working on other tasks. So we're not playing, or we're not playing with electronics or other things. And even especially if we're on a Zoom meeting with teachers and students, we want to be sure that we're focused and we're ready to learn or have the conversation that we're having and not be eating.
If you can, make sure it's quiet as possible so your child or children can concentrate. Keep the device on a flat surface so it's not wobbling, it's not distracting to the child or to the people watching if they're on a Zoom. If you can, have your child sit in a chair, preferably one of their size. Oftentimes when kids are laying down, it's just not a conducive position for learning. It can also be distracting again to them or to the people watching. And finally, have as many materials as they need accessible if possible. It's great if you can set up a dedicated workstation for your child. I understand that's not always possible, but anything you know they're going to need, whether it's manipulatives or pencils or crayons or anything, try to have that right within their reach.
Ideally, the space should be reserved for times of active work and learning. Children should be encouraged to take breaks, to eat meals, and to have free time elsewhere, away from their workspace. The important thing is that your child identifies this space as a place to learn and that they're comfortable returning to it each day.
You might want to also think about setting up some clear routines for school at home. So routines, kids love, they thrive on routine, they thrive on predictability. One thing you can do is set up a schedule for the day, make it visual so they can see it. I'm not sure if the schedule is going to be the same every day. Hopefully the teachers will be able to communicate that to you, but having that visual schedule is really helpful for a kid so that they know what they're doing now and what's coming next. You can also incorporate breaks into that schedule as much as possible and let them have some choice in those breaks. Choice is a huge thing with kids. If you give them a choice, they are more likely to comply than just saying, we're doing this. So if you want to say, hey, it's time for your break. Do you want to have a 10-minute bike break or do you want to have a 10-minute trampoline break? Give them that choice. That could be helpful. And movement is really great for kind of setting the brain up for learning in the next subject or next chunk of time. And finally, timers are really helpful. So if you know that they have to do their math lesson for a half hour or 20 minutes, set a timer if you can. Make it like a kitchen timer and it's visual so they can see it, so that they know exactly how much time is left on the task, so that they can, not be alarmed when the time is up.
We need to always remember with our kids that we want to have the idea that when it's time to work, we need to work, stay focused, and our body is going to be ready. And some people set a timer for when it's work time. Some people have their child choose a certain song that they want to be their starting time song. And so they might play that song each day when it's time to get to work. And then they might choose a finishing song too, which they might like this finishing song better.
It's important to set up a routine during at-home learning so students are familiar with what's expected. Part of that routine is just having your at-home learning area ready to go every day in the same spot. So kids are creatures of habit, and they will benefit from just being in the same location in your house during that at-home learning time. So that's one way of setting up the routine. Another way of setting up the routine is just having all of your materials kept in that same spot and ready to go. So if they're working on a math problem, they know that they have their ruler, their pencil, whatever it is they need for math right in that area, and they don't have to go search around the house to get those things. All of the learning materials should be kept at your at-home learning spot. And that might be the kitchen table, and you're able to clear it off when you eat, and then when it's time to do at-home learning, it's great to have just a little basket of all of the school supplies they're able to just bring right on over to the kitchen table, and then that becomes their at-home learning spot. As long as it's the same every time and it's part of a routine, then that'll be great.
That when we're working on schoolwork, whether it's with our family or on the computer with our teacher, that we want our brain to be thinking, our ears to be listening, our eyes watching, and that our voices are listening unless we're called on. We also want to make sure that kids know the etiquette for using Zoom when they're on a Zoom meeting, and we want to make sure that kids aren't drawing on using the drawing tools to draw during the Zoom meeting, and they're not changing the name, the name part of their ID on the Zoom call. And we also want to make sure that they're knowing how to use the mute when they're muted or not, so that we don't have kids talking over each other.
Well, here's an idea that I keep in my head. And it goes like this. I model anything that I want to do, that I want children to do. And I say to them, I do it, we do it, and then you do it. That's a gradual release of dependence, scaffolding them to more independent work. So just a thought, when students are asked to do something new, I do it, so watch me. And then we'll do it together. And then you'll do it. And they may have to be repeated several times for a new skill to be learned. But that's one of the ideas that I always keep in the back of my head when I'm teaching something new, especially in math.
So if you see that your child is getting stuck on a question and maybe they're reaching frustration, it's okay to tell them, I see that you're frustrated. What are some ways, or what are some things that we can use to help your situation right now? Is there any tool that we have that can help us get through this problem? So using resources is one way to help develop independence. Instead of giving away answers or telling them, oh, that word is was, instead maybe point to their at-home word wall that they have in front of them and say, look under the W and find the word was.
If you have multiple kids learning from home and you feel a little bit frustrated, like, I don't know how to help them all at the same time, one thing that I like to do in the classroom is have a very predictable, constant rotation where I'm going to this table first and then that table second and then that table third. So the kids get to know, oh, I know she's going to be coming to me after that table, so I'll just write my question down or keep it in the back of my mind because I know she's coming. So if you can set up some kind of rotation between your kids, if you have the luxury of being there the entire time, that's great. Or if you can say, you know, I have a break from my work at 12 o'clock. At that time, I'm always going to come to you and ask if you had any questions. That could be really helpful too. So they know I have a question for mom or dad, but I'm not sure. I want to go bother them for it. They know that you're coming at 12:15, so they can kind of pocket that for later. But the predictability of that can be really helpful.
know that some children are apprehensive about making a mistake. They always have to be right. And in my classroom, we always share important proverbs and quotes from people from around the world. And those help us. And the one I want to share with you today is a Japanese proverb. It goes like this: fall down 7 times, get up 8. And we talk a lot about that. Fall down 7 times, get up 8. With that in mind, I can make mistakes. I can make even more mistakes. But I always get up and I keep on going to reach my goal. It's an attitude. It's an approach. It's a reminder that we keep going, even when it gets tough.
It's okay for a student to struggle during their at-home learning. That's okay. It's okay to struggle. A way to help your student during that time is just to tell them and remind them, it's okay that you're struggling right now, but let's take a look at some tools that we have to help you. So I would rely on the tools being sent home from the school or part of your at-home learning resource kit, and use those tools to help solve a question. You don't want to give away answers, but you can encourage them to solve the problem that they may be struggling with by using the tools that are given to them.
When I see that happening, I sit back and I try to analyze, where is the misunderstanding coming? Is it the communication? Is it the directions? Is it the understanding on both my part and their part? Where's the breakdown? So once I have a feeling for what that is, then I can go about deciding what approach to use. And it may depend on the student, and it may depend on the day, and it may depend on the situation, because that could change. And you know your child best, how much to intervene, how much to help. So one of the phrases that I like to use is, let's try another way. Sometimes that offers an avenue for students to go in a new direction. And I can show them another way to solve a problem. I think of when you have a knot in your shoe. And I might sit back and just see if you can figure it out, that little wait time. For some students, that might not be the best approach to use. I might ask them if they want help, and I might just start that one little lace off. See if you can do the rest. One of the things that I have often tried to remember to do is, instead of saying, nice job or good work, I tell students specifically what they're really good at. Oh, you got that first lace out from under the second lace. You figured that out. So giving very specific feedback about what they're doing to help, I find successful. Another approach or idea that I like to share with my own students is that you have a toolbox. We often use this in math. You have a toolbox of math skills. Open up your toolbox and see which tool will work. Sometimes you grab a wrench, and sometimes that works first, and sometimes it doesn't. Put the wrench back, try another way. So if you have lots of different ways or lots of different tools in your toolbox, it will help you to solve problems in many different ways.